Hello, everyone. Tonight, our topic is understanding sensory stress, helping your child cope and thrive. Thank you, each of you, for joining me this evening. And I want you to know that I'm always here to answer any questions that you may have. You can call me or you can dojo me a message. Being a parent is a very big job, as you already know. And when we add in sensory challenges that many kids experience, it can sometimes feel very overwhelming. So, this evening, we're going to dive into an important and often misunderstood topic, and that is how sensory processing affects stress, behavior, and emotional regulation, and what you can do to help your child not just cope, but to thrive. Today, you're going to walk away understanding what sensory processing actually is and how sensory stress shows up in daily life, some practical tools you can start using, and signs that your child might need a little more support. Of course, this is a judgment-free zone. Feel free to ask questions in the comment section. And so, what is sensory processing? Let's start from the beginning. Sensory processing is how the brain receives messages from the senses and organizes them so we can respond appropriately. Our kids are constantly gathering information through touch, through sound, sight, smell, taste, movement, and balance, and body awareness, like knowing where your body is in space. And so normally the brain filters out what's unimportant and focuses on what matters, like listening to the teacher, even though someone is tapping their pencil nearby. But when a child's sensory system isn't processing smoothly, that filter gets overloaded. The sound seems louder, touches feel sharper or unbearable, lights feel blinding, and movement feels necessary just to stay alert. You ever seen that child that has to move around? And the brain shifts from I'm fine to I'm not safe. Your child's brain shifts from I'm fine to I am no longer feeling safe, causing a stress response, just like fight, flight, or freeze. And so, just a quick example, imagine if your socks felt like sandpaper. We know sandpaper is very rough. So, imagine that your socks feel like that, and your classroom sounded like a construction site, all while trying to do math. So the socks that are inside your shoe feel like sandpaper, and the sound in the classroom sounds like a construction site while you are told to focus on your math assignment. That's the reality for some kids every single day who are experiencing sensory issues. And so, because young children can't always express what's wrong in words, sensory overload shows up through behavior. Some common sensory stress reactions include meltdowns, like after birthday parties, field trips, or loud school days, covering up their ears when flushing the toilet, hearing sirens or the school alarms going off, avoiding certain textures, like hating jeans, refusing certain foods, avoiding messy crafts, seeking movement. They're running, they're crashing into things, climbing on furniture, constantly fidgeting or struggling to sit during class lessons, and emotional outbursts. So, over seemingly small things because their bucket really isn't that full. Okay, so those are just some of the ways that sensory stress will show up. So it is important to note that behavior is communication. When we reframe a meltdown not as a bad behavior, but as a stress signal, we can respond with some empathy. So, just an example here. I worked with a little boy who would rip his shirt, his collar, and chew on his sleeves. You ever seen kids with like wet collars and wet sleeves? His teachers thought it was defiance. It turned out his collar felt so tight and scratchy that chewing and pulling were his only ways to relieve that discomfort. So sensory stress can cause emotional fatigue, impacting learning, friendships, self-esteem, and just overall health. So how can we help your kids, our kids, teach them some tools and some coping skills? So just want you to know there is some good news. We can help them. Small children can prevent overload. Uh, and I'll take that back. Small changes can prevent overload, and we can teach children the skills to manage when stress happens. So here's just a quick toolbox that you as a parent can start using today. So here's a snapshot on this screen, and we're going to dive into it on these next screens. So movement breaks in sensory diets. So some kids need movement regularly, what we call, and is what we call a sensory diet. So jumping jacks, bear walks, wall push-ups, running in place, swinging at the park, sitting on a wobble cushion during their schoolwork, heavy work activities like pushing a laundry basket full of toys. And so some kids really need that movement break in between to break up those big tasks that they have to complete, even at their young age. And then a sensory toolkit or a calm kit. I've used some of these at school and have helped families create them, but you're preparing basically a small portable kit of calming tools that can include stress balls, fidgets, a stretchy putty, fidget cubes, maybe a weighted lap pad or a blanket, noise canceling headphones if loud noises really interfere with them. Chewing necklaces for the child who likes to chew around their collar. There's little sensory necklaces that you can get to wear. Some kids even wear like bracelets and some sunglasses for light sensitivity. So your child isn't being spoiled by needing these tools. They're building coping strategies that work for them. And prepping and planning, many sensory stressors can be minimized with preparation. So let's say, for example, before a birthday party, a fire drill, or any new experience, talk to them about what's going to happen. Show pictures or videos and practice breathing strategies beforehand. So before they experience the big overloading sensory, share with them what's going to happen so they're prepared, so their body can prepare for that. So, for example, if it's too loud at a party, what can we do? Go outside, put on our headphones, squeeze our stress ball. Today we have a fire drill at school. This is what we can do to help us when the sirens go off. We can get our headphones. We're going to go outside. We can take a fresh breath of air, preparing them for that big moment. Hey, we're going to go to this birthday party, but we're going to leave early. Prepare them for that moment. And then create safe zones. Create a sensory friendly space at home, a calm down corner or a quiet zone. Elements that you can include like beanbag, cozy blankets, dim lighting, their favorite books, soft music or white noise. Teach your child that this is your space to calm your body. So every classroom here in our school has a calm down corner, and we show them in the beginning of the school year how to utilize that calm down corner. And we let them know this is your space in your classroom to use so that you can have some time to regulate your emotions, your body, and all those other things, right? And teach emotional awareness. Use feeling charts, something that they can visually see to help them identify when they are feeling overwhelmed. Practice body awareness. Is your heart beating fast? Your hands tight? Help them recognize their personal warning signs. I feel like I want to hide. I feel hot. You have to model those words for them and giving them those examples so they can build that vocabulary for themselves. And breathing and regulation techniques. Practice calming techniques every single day. not just when they're stressed, not just when they're overloaded. You want to practice this so that it becomes a habit to use for them. So, for example, tell them to smell the flower and blow out the candle. That's an example of deep breathing. Butterfly hugs and cross your arms and tap your shoulders, right? So kind of looks like this. I'm crossing my arms and I'm tapping my shoulders, right? So butterfly hugs, bubble breaths, pretend to blow bubbles, slow and steady, right? So you want to practice some of those skills just on even a regular day, right? So not even when they're upset, because it's hard to use skills when you're upset in the moment if you haven't already practiced them beforehand and know that those are available for you. And then adjusting the environment when possible. Tweak the sensory environment, soft lighting instead of harsh fluorescence, smooth clothing, remove those itchy tags. A lot of those tags can be cut out, right? Remove them. Sound dampening curtains or rugs at your house, right? So small environmental adjustments can have big emotional gains for your child. I mean, can imagine the smallest little thing that makes a big difference in the way your child feels, whether at school or at home. And then seek professional help when you feel like it's necessary. So while many kids benefit from simple supports at home, sometimes they just need a little bit more. Sometimes they even need more than what we can provide for them at school. So consider getting a referral for an occupational therapist for an evaluation. Maybe you've noticed severe meltdowns that disrupt their daily functioning. Their eating is restricted. They have a constant need to crash or bump or to spin or extreme avoidance of movement. And maybe they're having difficulty handling transitions, being in crowds or in public spaces. An occupational therapist, they are trained to assess sensory needs and design sensory diets, activities, and home strategies for you all, for your child as well. So it's okay to seek out beyond what we can provide here at school. And, I just want to end with a powerful truth. Your child's behavior is not who they are. Your child's behavior, it is not who they are. It does not define them. Sensory struggles, they don't define them. Or you as their parents, with understanding tools and patience, your child can develop skills to thrive. And you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be committed and willing to adjust as you learn more about your child's needs. So I want you to remember this: celebrate small wins. Practice those skills when things are just calm, not when they're already up here. Practice when they're calm, and trust your instincts as their parent, as their guardian, and seek support when needed. If you need assistance with making those referrals, reach out to us here at school. We can help you navigate that. And as always, you are your child's greatest resource. You are their great, you see them more than we do, so you understand things that you are experiencing. And sometimes we don't know all the things, right? So you are their greatest resource in getting them the support that they need. So thank you all for joining in with me, for learning, and fighting for what's best for your child's future. They are so, so lucky to have you. Until next time, we will have probably one more session, and I have a topic for that already. So I look forward to seeing you then, and you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening.